Welcome to Hexodus. Thank you for joining us. This podcast is going to be a bit of an experiment in deconstructing a belief system that did not serve and working to rebuild that into something that is beneficial and beautiful and provides wisdom, light, and guidance. I am Jenny.
And I'm Persephone, and Jenny and I met back in 2015 at a post-Mormon support group. It was a secret group when we both lived in Salt Lake City, and we both attended to just learn how to human, just like basic human skills after we both left Mormonism.
It has been quite the journey these past almost 10 years, and I think we've really learned a lot, not only working with each other, but just being in each other's lives and the influence we've had on each other. I know Persephone has led me to make some big, strong, powerful changes in my life through her Reiki healing and her guidance. And I know I would not be the person I am today without her.
And Jenny helped me so much, especially in those early days and now. Like, I remember you taking us to a bar for the first time, and you were so worldly and experienced and just kind of helped us all like step into that world. And now we're both kind of on the same journey, our own versions. And you're in Portland now, I'm in Texas now. And it's just kind of beautiful to see how our lives have changed and evolved.
It really is. We have been on such a healing journey on our own paths, and I love how our paths kind of just keep connecting to each other. They keep intertwining. I feel like I never thought as a little girl growing up in Idaho that I would end up in Portland, but it's been amazing, and I'm so thankful of the healing journey and the influence you've had in my life.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same about you. I'm just super grateful. Super grateful.
Thank
So, all right. So we got our little sacrament. So when you are Mormon, you take the sacrament every Sunday, and it's like making a little covenant or a fresh start or whatever. And you have bread and water. So we're each doing our own little sacrament here. So for my water, I'm having some coffee. And so this symbolizes just like love and pleasure and happiness and medicine and all the good things, because I freaking love coffee more than just about anything. So I don't
Cheers.
know what to do. Cheers.
I know. For my beverage of choice rather than water, you can't see it, but I have some chocolate milk because I mean chocolate is always good for the soul. I love chocolate, and it's just it's a cup full of happiness to me. Mm.
Yes. I remember as a kid when they would pass the sacrament thinking, I should be grateful, but like a piece of bread and a tiny cup of water is not that good of a snack.
No, it's really not.
And for my bread, I have a tortilla chip, and this just represents like love and support to me, because my boyfriend bought me a bag of chips because I really wanted a bag of chips, and he like kind of keeps my kitchen stocked, and I've been really supported and loved on this part of my journey. It's been a rough go, but like so many people have shown love to me in so many ways, even down to getting me chips. So there we go. Cheers.
I love that. Cheers. My bread, quote unquote, is a chocolate caramel ball. Because I mean, chocolate. I got these in bulk at a fancy schmancy store here in Portland, and it was after I got my first paycheck here in Portland, so it was just a celebratory thing for me. So this to me just kind of represents new beginnings and abundance and indulging. We all need to have those moments and chocolate and caramel doesn't get more indulgent than that.
Yes, that's beautiful. Now we are renewed and refreshed and ready for the week ahead.
Yes, we are.
Jenny and I are both energy workers. We do energy work or witchcraft or just all just different kinds of modalities. And we thought today we might bring our first card decks, because we both read cards. And so I brought mine. This is my first deck I ever got, the Goddess Guidance Oracle deck. I got it in 2014, I believe, and this is still like the same deck. It's lasted. It's by Doreen Virtue, who I think has like denounced all of her stuff like this and become a Christian. But like I still like this deck, so I keep it and it works for me. I remember like the first time using it, feeling slightly naughty, like, oh my gosh, this is like, forbidden fruit here, and I hope I can do it, and I hope I don't go to hell or whatever, which seems crazy because I was like 40. Like, you're old enough to like do this and you're okay. But when you're in that church, that's you know,
The
so
conditioning is real. The
yeah, it
conditioning
is.
is
It
strong.
is. And so I just pulled a card from the deck for myself right now, and it's the Rhiannon Sorceress card. You're a magical person who can manifest clearly your intentions into reality. And so I just love, like, because I was really wanting to have like a new kind of spirituality without beliefs necessarily connected to it and without patriarchy connected to it, where I can just like tap into my own spirituality and have it be whatever I want. And so these cards were really supportive because they were goddess cards instead of the male Mormon God and the prophets and apostles. Like, this was like me, and so it's been like a deck that I really love. I go to it for comfort a lot of times, so it's kind of like my emotional support deck.
I love that. Do you think how the decks speak to you? They have their own magic and their own energy.
They do. What's your first deck?
So my first deck was kind of blinking in and out, this Cat's Eye Tarot
Oh,
deck.
cute.
I am a kitty lover, and I first got this deck in March of 2023. So I am fairly new to reading
Wow.
cards. But I got my Reiki attunement through Persephone in January 2023. And this was kind of the next step in my journey. Like, I saw this and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute. It doesn't feel very threatening. It's kitties. So it's, yeah, sounds like a fun next step. And just the places this deck has taken me has been amazing, just allowing me to trust my instincts. I've got like 5 cards that are wanting to jump out at me, but I'm gonna
Yes.
see what we've got. um oh goodness, I'm making a mess. So we have Temperance.
Hmm.
Let's see. um a 7 of Cups,
Nice.
the Page of Wands,
Whoa.
and the King of Wands.
Oh, that's
All right.
amazing.
So I don't have like this immediate intuitive gift like Persephone does, or where she knows the cards really well. I'm still learning them out.
Would you
But
like me to give you a little reading what I think?
please do. I would love that.
Okay. So what that feels like is that you are in a time where just slowly and steady you're learning what you want. So you may have a whole bunch of options and not know exactly which ones that you want to go for, but it's such a new time that you just kind of have to go slow and steady, like at a temperate pace, like temperance. And just kind of like examine each thing. 7 of Cups is usually like shiny object syndrome, just kind of like looking around. And the other ones are about just kind of like finding new passions, finding what is like new and exciting for you. And it's gonna pay off down the road. Like, you'll become a master of those things down the road, but it's gonna be like one day at a time, one lesson at a time, and it feels good. Like, it's got a really good feeling.
I love that. Thank you. Like, one thing I love about the Page of Wands and the King of Wands here is just you've got the page looking at this leaf, and then you've got the king cuddle up next to the leaf. So I love how it's just finding contentment and the options
Yes,
that you pursue that are best for you.
that's beautiful.
That's
Yes.
Thank you for that reading, that insight. I can't wait to get to the point where I'm just like, those intuitive answers come, where I work
Oh,
with the cards enough, and I
you're
know.
really good at cards. I've seen you do that. You're really good at that.
Thank you. I'm still learning. I don't know the different meanings behind the cards and how to best interpret them, but they are still just. I feel like cards are just something that talk to me. You get that feeling, and I'm like, okay, that's the one that needs. That's got the message. It's what needs to be
Mhm.
heard. I might not know how to interpret it based on sight, or I might need to look it up what it means, but just having that intuitive voice of, okay, that's the card.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
think like one nice thing about doing cards after you've been in a high demand religion is it seems like spirituality in a high demand religion is about like following the prophets or following God or following the scripture or all these things that are outside of yourself. And like cards may be outside of yourself, but they're really just pieces of paper, and like they're like the psychologist ink blot. Like it helps you kind of like look inside and see how it feels, see what your intuition says. So like they may be outside of yourself on some level, but they're just tools to look on the inside, because like where the real spirituality is always going to come from like inside instead of outside. And so it's kind of a way to like have a spiritual tool that is you taking your own power back, your own interpretation, your own like feelings about it, and making it your own.
Yes, I love that. That is so true. For me, it was such an amazing, like you said, a tool to tap into what was in my best good and what was in my
Yes.
highest good. When I have, you have all of these external factors telling you you need to do this, you need to do that, what you should be doing. But there's that like intrinsic, innate part of you that knows what's best for you.
Yes.
And for me, the cards were that tool that helped me realize, okay, what other people are saying I need is not what I need. I know what I need, and I just need that tool to help me express that or to figure that out. And they're so powerful. They really are amazing.
Yep, that's because you're powerful. They're just paper. You're the power.
Oh,
So,
we're both
yep,
powerful. Yes,
yep.
you're that power. Yeah, it's amazing to just recognize that in yourself, and honor that and accept it. I think that's kind of the hard thing too, is we have a tendency as individuals to always think like worst case scenario and to beat ourselves down. But to step into your power, like humbly step into your power and want to use it for like betterment.
Yes.
Not only betterment of yourself, but betterment of the community around you. It's
Yes.
so important.
I love that. That's beautiful. What ways have you what ways have you owned your power and stepped into your power since you left that church that have made maybe the most significant difference? That's probably too big a question, but like, is there like one thing that stands out especially, even though I know there's got to be literally thousands? So yeah.
Yeah, that is a good question. The first thing that comes to my mind is, for me, like I never fully embraced religion, especially Mormonism, the way a lot of people do. Like I always had my doubts in the back of my mind, but it is such a high demand religion, and it is so involved with family that it is hard to be yourself, as I think it is with most religions. But for me, one thing that I wanted to do was, well, I know my family's going to think I'm a bad person, or people around me are going to think I'm a bad person because I'm leaving this belief system, but I'm going to prove them wrong. And so for me, that was kind of an impetus that I needed to really get outside myself. I started volunteering at an animal rescue. Like I not only love cats, but I started working with neonatal kittens, and that was just not only a good experience to kind of show you, you know what, just because you think someone's a bad person because of their belief system not matching yours, they're not. They're still good people. And that was a big thing for me. And another thing that I did was I started donating blood regularly, actually donating platelets. So it's not something I got paid for. But I saw that they had this thing called the Tree of Life. They had a tree on their wall. And if you got 120 platelet donations, you got your name painted on the wall. And so that was a long-standing goal I had. It took me 7 or 8 years, but I got that goal like shortly before I left from Portland. I think I got it in like May of 2023, something like that. So it took probably from 2015 to 2023 to meet that goal, and it's just, yeah, I felt like my body was designed to do that because it was, yeah, it had its challenging moments, but also my body could handle it really well. And I could do like pretty high volume donations. So it was just really good to have that and know that I'm making a difference. Regardless of what anyone else thinks, I know that I'm doing something that's supporting the community and people. So yeah, I'd love to hear your response on that question.
I think, first of all, I've got goosebumps. Like, that's so beautiful. I wonder how many lives you've saved.
Thanks.
Like, there's got to be a lot. So that's really cool.
Thanks.
Mine is like maybe not as noble as that, but I think the thing that pops in my mind first is just changing my name.
Mm.
Like when I was born, the first thing the midwife said was, "It's a Sarah," and so I was Sarah um, all my life until recently, which I like. I like that name. It's nice. Like I don't think my parents named me wrong necessarily. Like I like it and everything. But when I left the church, it was like such a profound change and profound shift. And then I like left my marriage and like, all the hard things that you do. And I just felt like a little quiet name like that just wasn't enough. Like it, not like a little princess biblical name just did not go anymore. And so I decided I would change my name, and I didn't know what my name was. So I went through a period of time where I gave myself a few years after my divorce to decide what my name was going to be because I wanted to kind of learn about myself. But at the end of 2020, I was just like, I'm not Sarah anymore. And I don't know like, I don't know what my name is, but I don't know. And like, I put it out to a secret group I belong to, like a networking women's group. And but I'm like, I just need a name that's like big and strong and kind of almost like a burlesque name, like a stage name that's like
That's perfect.
aspirational. And it
Yeah.
has to represent like the depths of hell and the heights of heaven, or, innocence and worldwise, because I just felt like I was like both things, all of that.
Yeah.
And one of the girls in the group is said like, "Oh, Persephone," and I'm like, "Ugh." That's like, and I was scared of it at first. I couldn't even speak it. I like wrote it on a piece of paper and handed it to my partner at the time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect." And took me a few days to like get used to it enough to like say it, and then it took me longer to like own it. But man, that name has given me so much strength to go through the stuff that I had to go through after that too. And so it's easy to hide and be shy and not very powerful if you have a little name, but if your name's Persephone,
You got power.
yep, you got to step up. And so it's helped me step up, I guess.
I love that. That is just, yeah, your new name definitely suits you.
Thanks.
It is such a powerful, strong name, and it's just so unique, and I love it.
Thanks. My parents get compliments all the time because when I tell people my name, they're like, "Oh my God, you have the coolest parents ever."
Like, yeah,
I'm like, "Sure."
yeah, I love that. Okay, I feel like that's kind of a good segue into what I wanted to say about my next deck. So this was the second tarot deck I got, or oracle deck. It's the Solitary Witch Oracle. Sorry, struggling with that view. But when you were talking about your name and saying that it was just kind of intimidating and overwhelming, like you didn't dare speak it, like it was just kind of like, I really love it, but it's also kind of intense and overwhelming. That's how I felt
yes.
about this deck.
Really?
When I first got it and I was using it, I'm like, this feels so powerful. It feels like a power beyond me. And I'm not quite ready
Oh.
to the point of like being able to, I feel comfortable using it for myself. But as far
Mhm.
as using it for other people, I don't feel like I'm at that point where I can comfortably use it for other people to do readings. So I think that's like just interesting. This coming into your own power. Uh,
Yeah.
we have to own our power, and when we're not ready to use it, there's that intuitive part of us that knows. Um,
Mhm.
but we just need to like listen to that intuition and hear when it's ready, and it'll let you know when you got it. You'll know.
I love that. Do you want to pull a card for yourself from it?
Absolutely. Oh, I love this deck. It just whenever I pull it out, it just feels like working with an old friend. Like just
Oh,
I
that's so
love it.
sweet.
It is just such a cool energy, and this has helped me more times than I can count. Just some of the messages are so powerful and important. Oh, got a jumper. Um, nearing skyclad. Um, so I love this one. I love the message that it's nearing skyclad is just, stepping outside into the nude, embracing that power, not being afraid to own your power. And that's kind of the message here. Like there's a message of, yeah, just going, I think skyclad is a term for like being naked outside,
Oh,
if I
it's
recall correctly.
amazing.
The witches dancing around the fire naked, kind
Mhm.
of that imagery. But I pulled this one time when I was up at my family cabin, and dark there. It's, in the wilderness. And that night, like I just had to go outside without my shirt on and just kind of stand in the moonlight and kind of get that sky clad moment of just embracing nature, finding that power in my body when we're raised in a society to, shame us about our bodies, but just to kind of stand there and love it and embrace it in the moon.
Oh,
It was
that's
powerful.
so powerful. I love that. Oh my God. That
Yeah,
is amazing. That's so the opposite of how we were taught. I love
exactly.
that.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
That is
Oh.
amazing. I think my deck that I brought out that's like probably my favorite deck, I have so many, is the Literary Witches Oracle deck. I'm also a writer, like I do energy work and cards for a living, but I also write novels and memoir and all that stuff. And so I love this deck. I love it too because it's like quirky and doesn't take itself too seriously. And I really love that about doing this kind of work. Like it can be serious. Like healing is serious work, it's big work, but it's also like fun or silly or ridiculous sometimes. And like, I don't know, it just kind of reminds me to just have fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So let me
I
see.
love that.
I'll pull a card. Oh, so let's see, I still have to look at the book for the little, okay, for some of these cards. So the rabbit is making leaps forward. And
Mm.
so actually, I would really love that right now. I'm in a time where like I'm happy with where I got. I didn't think I would ever kind of get to this place in my life, and I'm here and I love it, but I really need to move to the next steps. And I'm not sure what those are, but I just love like that leaping forward kind of energy. And so I don't know,
Yeah.
that's kind of lovely. That's just very sweet. I'll take
That's amazing.
it.
Well, and what we're doing here, I feel like this will be a big leap forward for both of us. This is something
That's
new
true.
that is, I think testing our, like, I don't know, comforts or
Yeah.
our comfort zone. It's absolutely out of the comfort zone for me, but
Mhm. Me
it
too.
feels like just, I don't know, I feel like we both have a gift um, about how far we've come, where we started and where we're at.
Yeah.
And I think we absolutely need to share our gifts, share our experiences.
And I suspect the people that show up for this podcast have their own version of this gift too. Like, I feel like this is going to be a podcast for people who are healers in their own right, whatever that's going to look like. Doesn't have to be cards, doesn't have to be woo woo. You can be a teacher in any kind of job, any kind of sphere of life. So I kind of suspect that if you find this podcast, that might be you too.
Absolutely. I love that. I had a thought last night and I wanted to text a new friend and ask them. We met in like a spiritual group here in Portland, but I wanted to ask them, how would you define your spirituality? Like, what is your flavor of spirituality? For me, I feel like there's some witchiness there. There's some starseed there. But I feel like that's kind of my flavor. And I feel like
Mhm.
everyone that's a healer that has that, they're going to have
Yeah.
that flavor that resonates with them.
Yes, I would say I'm like a mystical atheist.
I love it.
So I don't really believe in God the religious way or anything. I believe in something unknowable, maybe agnostic. I don't know. But I love spiritual tools. They work for me, but I'm not necessarily a believer in any certain thing. I like spirituality as a tool. So
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. It is so amazing to find like spirituality separate from religion and
yes.
make it work for you.
It's so freeing too, because you never have to accept what your soul doesn't want to accept, and you never have to believe what your soul doesn't want to believe. And you can explore and experiment with any tool you want or anything. Like anything can be spiritual. Like you don't have to have beliefs around it. Like I'm sitting on the floor in my living room at the coffee table so I could have my little sacrament and read cards. But I've got like this little cute dish of little special objects for me. Like I've got this piece of petrified wood from my friend Steve, who's a healer and a geologist. And like,
Oh,
so it's like very special and grounding. I have this little Lucky Cat chopstick holder that I got in Kyoto.
That is
And I think it's very
adorable.
cute. At some
Oh,
like this tourist shop, you know. But like it's special to me and it reminds me of like how big and beautiful life has been for me that like I've run around Tokyo and Kyoto and I've like you know what I mean? And just
yeah.
like so it just those little things, they don't have to be anything special. But anything can be spiritual, anything can remind you of something significant, you know what I mean? And like we do that in
Absolutely.
religion, some like, everything reminds us of God or everything reminds us of, the gospel or whatever, but like in our own kind of spirituality and mysticism, we get to decide what is actually meaningful and we get to decide why it's meaningful and why it's sacred. And it doesn't have to, the objects don't have to be intrinsically spiritual. They can just be a chopstick holder. But if they're meaningful to us, then they can have meaning.
Yes,
Meaning making, I suppose.
I love that, and that is so true. I feel like for me, one of the hard things about religion was, like the cognitive dissonance, being told things have to be this way, but in my soul knowing that doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it is hard learning to trust your voice. It is hard learning
Yes.
to listen to that piece of you that knows best. But once you get all of those external factors, those external voices out of sight of your head and start following your path that is true for you and for your highest good and for your soul, it's
Mhm.
just, there's nothing like it. It's just amazing the places you end up, the places you go.
You first leave religion and first learn to trust yourself, there's like a period of anger where you're like, oh my gosh, I like lost myself here. I never could listen to myself and I missed out on so much. But after a while, there's like kind of a gift in that too, because I feel like, I'm 51 and I feel like life is very new for me. And like in some ways I resent that and I'm mad about that. And in other ways, there's like not one thing in my life that I take for granted.
Yeah.
Like not 1 ounce of my life that I take for granted. And I feel like there's a gift in that. Once you can trust yourself and connect with yourself again and have your own experiences and set your life up your own way and believe the way you want to believe, everything is kind of has a magical quality, if you
Yeah,
can deny it. Yeah.
that's so true. Well, and I feel like, I don't know, this was just my like initial thought when you were talking about having come to this realization later in life. Um, Maybe you wouldn't be where you're at right now if it hadn't happened when it happened. Like just the wisdom that comes with age,
Yeah.
there's a wisdom there that you don't you can't appreciate when you're younger. And then as you grow older, just your life experiences shaping you. And I've had those moments too of like, oh, I wish I could have done this differently, or maybe not. I wouldn't
Hmm.
know that I'd call them regrets, but things about the past that I would change. But I
Hmm.
also have to realize that if things had worked out differently, would I still be who I am today? And would I still be on this path?
That's
Like you,
true. I
yeah,
have no idea. Yep.
yeah.
Like
There's
there's
no way.
just like no way to know. Yep.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but a lot of times I feel like I'm full circling, like coming back to the person I probably was when I was a teenager, or like, not that I'm like a teenager, but just like who I was waking up to be, the person I put away to like Mormon correctly or whatever. You know what I mean? And so
Absolutely. Yeah.
there's something that is beautiful about coming back to that, like as an older person. So,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of the things that we do as an adult, maybe if I don't know, with that teenage mindset, I think the wisdom behind it is we don't get tied up in the guilt. We don't get tied up in the fear. We don't get tied up in
Mhm.
those things that aren't serving us because the teenage mind, is trying to figure things out. Maybe thinking of consequences. Ah, sorry, I'm trying to spitball here and it's not flowing how I'd want, but
Well,
it's
it's
just
very hard to explain some of these concepts. So,
it is,
but
yeah.
yeah. And
Just wisdom that comes with age and living your life and having experiences.
what's your
Yeah.
favorite part about, and this is also probably too big of a question, but what is your very favorite part or one of your favorite parts about your life, like right now? Like,
Oh,
in context of like this freedom that you have now to live how you want.
Oh, I feel like I love that question. My favorite part of life right now is just living in a way that feels true to me, living in a way that feels right to me, and knowing that no matter what, I listened to myself. I trusted myself. And that to me is huge. Like I feel like if I had tried to listen to what my parents wanted for me, I'd still be in Utah working a job that just made me miserable. And now I'm in Portland while I'm still trying to figure life out. It just the happiness and the gratitude that I carry in my heart is it's the best. It's such a lovely feeling to just kind of wake up in the morning and feel at peace with the way your life is. Um
That's
yeah.
amazing. That is huge. And
Yeah.
also, that takes so much guts.
Oh,
Like
thanks.
people who have never gone through like a faith shift out of a high demand religion or anything like that, they don't know how much guts what you just said, like how much guts for how many years it takes to get where you can wake up in the morning and just feel good about where your life is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you feel like you're in that same spot too, where you wake up in the morning and you're just like,
Um,
uh,
a lot of times, yes, I still feel like I'm unpacking a fair amount of trauma. But like just to get to this, but I do definitely have probably 50 moments a day where I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I mean, it's still just like part of every day, just being like, I can't believe I'm so free. And it's always like the smallest, dumbest things, like going to the grocery store and getting things that I like to eat, or like, I don't know, like wearing tank tops in Texas because it's hot, you know what I mean? Or just,
having a
I,
cup of coffee.
yeah, oh yes, coffee always. So,
Yeah.
and like, I remember, I hope this is okay to say, but like, I remember when I started, oh, sorry. I might need to spray my cat if he's like trying to he tears this down and I'm trying to train him not to. But when I took my garments off, I remember I got like underwear for the first time, like real person underwear, and I remember like telling my kids who were almost grown at the time, and my daughters were like, "Yeah, it won't be so novel or great someday." And I'm like, "No, for the rest of my life, it will. That I get to like make my own underwear." It sounds like absolutely ridiculous, but like I just don't take anything for granted. Like nothing, everything is a freedom. And so usually the things that feel the best are just like the small little freedoms. I'm
Yeah.
looking around my apartment and like I couldn't live this way when I was Mormon. And
Yeah.
like and I can now. So
That's so
nice.
amazing. It's living authentically is like so hard, but it's so worth it.
Yeah.
Just listening to that soul and knowing that you know what's best
Yep.
for you and you
Yep.
know how to bring happiness. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
That's amazing.
Yes. Great. Um,
Aw.
well, should we? I don't know if we have a closing prayer or anything that we want to do, or is
Um,
there anything else you'd like to talk about before we
I
close
suppose
out?
we can like do the little water bottle prayer here.
Yes.
So I guess our closing prayer can be the Walt Whitman quote on my water bottle, which is, I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yelp over the roofs of the world.
Uh,
So we can go ahead and sound our barbaric yelps, whatever that's going to sound like for you. It's going to be different for each person, but it's going to be your own personal power and what is best for you.
yes. Bring out your yops. Ah!
Okay,
I love
so
that.
I love this. And, this is our first, Jenny and I have never done any kind of podcast before. So we're going to just find our footing with this and we're going to just talk about different subjects every week and see um, how we're going to do this. And feel free to comment if there's certain things you would like to learn about or talk about or discuss. We'd love to hear it.
Absolutely.
And so there we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
And bye.
Bye.